Okay, so what in the world does some ancient Greek philosopher have to do with a $100 million podcast deal? Well, as it turns out, pretty much everything. Today we're diving deep into the playbook of Alex Cooper, the absolute powerhouse behind Call Her Daddy, and we're going to break down exactly how she built a modern media empire. And trust me, the secret sauce starts over 2,000 years ago.
Just picture this for a second. Alexander the Great, basically the most powerful man on the planet, walks up to this philosopher named Diogenes. Diogenes is just kind of sifting through a pile of human bones. Alexander asks him what he's doing, and Diogenes just looks up and drops this line on him. I mean, talk about a savage and brilliant takedown of power itself.
And look, I get it. That's a fair question, right? But the line connecting that ancient pile of bones to today's creator economy? Well, it reveals everything about where real power and value actually come from. What Diogenes was saying was so simple and so brutal. When you die, all that status, all that power, it just vanishes. You're just bones. Death was the ultimate leveler. But here's the thing. Today, there's a new kind of leveler. There's a form of power that you can't inherit, you can't conquer. It's the direct, almost unbreakable relationship between a creator and their audience. And, when we talk about that modern power, there is maybe no one who gets it better than Alex Cooper. Her whole story kicks off back in 2018. She and her roommate, Sophia Franklin, launched a podcast that honestly was about to take the world by storm.
And when I say take it by storm, I mean the rise was just meteoric. I'm talking weeks after launching, they get discovered by Dave Portnoy, the founder of Barstool Sports, and bam, they land a 3-year deal. But that same partnership that made them famous also kind of imploded. A super public dispute in 2020 became this huge, defining moment, leaving Cooper in sole control and paving the way for a deal with Spotify that completely changed the game.
You gotta remember, for decades, the world of audio was run by guys like Howard Stern. They were the kings of radio, backed by these massive corporations. But Alex Cooper, she was something totally different. She wasn't just a host on the radio. She was the leader of this incredibly loyal community that she built from the ground up, called the Daddy Gang.
And the formula at the beginning was absolutely explosive. It was raw, it was completely unfiltered, and yeah, it was super provocative. They were talking about relationships and sex with this honesty that you just never heard on a big platform, especially not from women.
And if you want to know what that early era was all about, you just need to know this one infamous phrase. It was shocking. It instantly became a meme, and it was everywhere. This was the kind of thing that created an insane amount of buzz and put Cooper on the map. But as we're about to see, buzz alone doesn't build you an empire. Okay, so let's get into what I think is the most important part of this whole story. This is the moment that changes everything. During that massive public fallout in 2020, Alex Cooper had a choice that would define her entire career. She could walk away and start fresh, or she could stay and fight for the brand she built. She chose to fight for the intellectual property.
So what are we even talking about when we say IP? In simple terms, it's owning the thing you made. For Call Her Daddy, it wasn't just the audio files. It was the name, the logo, the merch designs, that whole back catalog of episodes. It was the soul of the brand. This is just incredible. While her co-host was basically ready to pack it in and start something new, Cooper dug in her heels. She saw the long-term value in what they had already created. She told Portnoy she would literally do whatever it took to get ownership of that IP. It was a massive bet on herself.
And was that fight worth it? Oh yeah, the payoff was just insane. After she got ownership and kept the show going by herself, Cooper signed her first exclusive deal with Spotify, and the reported value was $60 million. A deal that, let's be honest, would never have happened if she didn't own the brand.
But here's the really smart part. Owning the IP wasn't just about cashing a huge check. It was about having control. It gave her the freedom to let the show grow up, right as she and her audience were starting to grow up too.
And what she did next is like a textbook example of what we call empathy marketing. It's basically this. Instead of just shouting your message at people, you actually listen. You try to understand what they're going through, what they're feeling, and you connect with them on that level. And Cooper got this, instinctively. She saw that the same audience that was laughing at all the salacious stories was now getting older. Their worries were shifting to things like mental health and vulnerability. She knew it was a huge risk, but she also knew she had to grow with them. And the proof is right there in the guest list, right? The show totally transformed. It went from being about scandalous stories to being a must-stop destination for A-list celebs who wanted to have real, deep conversations. We're talking about cultural icons here. Jane Fonda, Miley Cyrus, RuPaul, I mean, come on.
And that's the key right there. She didn't just switch topics. She became a mirror for her audience's own emotional journey. By showing them she got it, that she understood their new challenges, she made that bond with them even stronger.
So when you put all of this together, the buzz, the fight for the IP, the evolution, you realize Alex Cooper isn't just a podcaster anymore. She's in a whole different league. She is literally redefining what a media mogul even looks like in this century.
I mean, just look at these numbers. With her latest move to SiriusXM, we're talking about deals in the same ballpark as the biggest names in the history of the business. Joe Rogan, Howard Stern. This isn't just big for a female podcaster. This is top of the entire industry, period.
But what I love is what she says herself. She's not trying to be them. She's not playing their game. She's building something totally new on a model that's not based on some big radio network, but on a direct, personal, and always evolving relationship with her community. So what's the big takeaway from the Alex Cooper playbook? What can we all learn from this? Well, it's a huge lesson in the new economics of media, where being authentic has somehow become the most valuable currency you can have.
Think about it. For 100 years, power in media meant owning the building, the printing press, the radio tower. Well, guess what? Those days are long gone.
Today, the most valuable thing in media, the thing you can't buy, build, or fake, is the relationship you have with your audience. That trust, that community, that is the real IP. And it's exactly what allowed Alex Cooper to turn a provocative podcast into a 9-figure media empire.
And that brings us all the way back to where we started, with Diogenes and that pile of bones. He knew that under all the fancy armor, Alexander the Great was just made of the same stuff as everyone else. In the creator economy, under the huge deals and the flashy platforms, the real power isn't really with the corporation, or even with the creator, it's with the audience. Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. As more and more creators build these massive, personal empires, what does that really mean for the future of media?